Everybody has heard of Anna Delvey, but have you heard of the Asian Anna Delvey? So, this is the alleged story. We've all seen these videos on TikTok about rich people showing their lifestyles. They have crazy closets full of Hermes bags and designer shoes and clothing. And so I stumbled upon and then subsequently went on a deep dive with Mei Lung. She kind of has this crazy rich Asian style TikTok from last year where she has been filming at these beautiful locations, luxury cars, walk-in closet, and then it all started coming down. So she got exposed as not only selling fake Kylie lip kits on Depop, selling fake designer bags, and even products that never shipped. And so then people found out that she actually had been cosplaying a rich person by stealing her friend Irene's Instagrams and playing rich, where she does come from a family with businesses and money, but allegedly they're not doing super well and certainly wasn't at that billionaire status level. And so I'm wondering if you've gone down any scam rabbit holes or if you've heard of this story.
I actually haven't heard of that story, but I also like have followed this creator who reminds me of uh, the Russian
Anna Delvey.
Anna Delvey, and this is
Yeah.
also Russian. She's called Polina Nioli,
Hmm.
although she hasn't been proven to be a scammer. But I've been following her for a couple of years now because she was sharing these day in my life videos in New York where she was spending tens of thousands of dollars per day and like living in a penthouse and producing films with celebrities like the actor who played Chuck Bass. And
Yes.
and
Yeah.
then
Exaggerated.
yeah, exactly. And the narrative was that she had to start it out very poor in Russia and build this life incredibly quickly, and she was kind of teaching everyone else also like how to become a creator and how to become rich and like,
Hmm.
and it was super fishy, and it still is. I've been following her for a couple of years, and I'm following her just to figure out whether she's actually a scam artist or not. And I've been very invested, and I feel like I feel like she probably started by scamming, and now she's been able to like build that audience and everything
Yeah.
through that, which is also a phenomenon that we're seeing on social.
Yeah. Allegedly.
Yeah,
Allegedly. Just
exactly.
putting that
Allegedly. Yeah, I
in
mean,
your opinion.
yeah, and also all the Redditors' opinion because I've been seeing
Yes.
the
Yeah. Yeah.
trends.
The conversation that goes
Yeah.
on online. FBI has unofficially hired you as the lead investigator on the case, so we're waiting on the results of the report. But you're listening to House of Content, and today we're unwrapping the Delulu and, dare I say, creator scam economy, fake guru culture, and the blurry ethics of an internet where the appearance of success can travel faster than the actual proof. And so I think this is a really fascinating topic. I can't wait to dive deep into this.
Yes.
But I want to know kind of like, when did documenting business journeys turn into a marker of success? We're seeing creators sharing their revenue dashboards. They're starting with hooks like, this is how I made 150K on 1 month on TikTok shop, like
Mhm.
crazy things like that. And so this sort of, we're seeing this building in public phenomenon start, but then it oftentimes kind of like ends in a lot of exposés. Like, even if you look at the latest one, so there is, again, like, everybody who is alleged of scamming is now called Anna Delvey, apparently. So this is the
Yes.
Hollywood's Anna Delvey. We have Christian Garcia, who is a influencer with millions of Instagram followers, and he's a friend of celebrities, and he's hanging out at all of these Hollywood events, and now he's being accused of scamming people of, like, 20K to meet and greet with Elon Musk and things like that. And so I'm
Wow.
wondering, like, how did we get here, and are creators actually driving this type of culture on social?
Yeah, well, if we look at it, I think documenting your journey became really powerful because it works. Like building in public is one of the most effective ways to build something online today, and people already started doing it in the blog era. And there were some scam artists over there as well. And I think if people see you building something, like whether it's like a brand or product or company, or even seeing someone like wanting to become a creator, like they just feel super invested in the outcome. So it attracts people who want to learn from you. So the journey itself like becomes this valuable content. But the same dynamic is kind of where things start getting a little tricky, because once you realize that that visibility can attract customers, and all those opportunities, then
And investors.
and investors, exactly. Then documenting your journey can turn into this, like, you're kind of marketing your success in real time instead. So someone can absolutely look super successful online before the success fully even exists, or even if it doesn't exist at all, because this online success is communicated through signals, right? Like, you mentioned like all the dashboards or revenue screenshots or milestones and aesthetics, exactly. But those signals don't necessarily tell the story, or not even a part of the story. Like, you can still show the revenue without showing the costs, right? Or the growth without showing, like,
absolute numbers.
Exactly. So sometimes what we're seeing online, or quite often I feel like, is not the finished success story. It's just like a part of the narrative that they want to show online that is going to be helping them become even more successful. Especially because when you look at their, like, these people's profiles, they're always trying to sell you something. They're always trying to sell you how can you get rich as well. But then they're just teaching you, like, basically how to, like, just market. Like, it's just like a pyramid scheme. Like, they're not really even selling.
Oh, it's an MLM.
Yeah,
For sure. And then and I think, oh, there's so many directions that I could take this. One of them being, and I'm sure you've noticed this too, and a lot of the female founders and business creators that even you and I follow, I look at it and I think to myself, again, I think I'm fairly successful, like for my age and in my niche and in the, the life I lead, but I'm not sitting in I've flown business class like twice in my life. One of them was miles and the other one was company flying me to work somewhere. And so, like, I don't take business class flights. I don't take these luxury black cars to go to different meetings where I can like pose at the back of the car with the, the designer bag. And then like it's funny that early stage it looks like, especially like female, well, a lot of male as well, but that's like, I think some more of that, Miami crypto niche creator style that we don't need to go to right now. But a lot of the female creators, like, their lifestyles look like they've already made it, but you're building an early stage startup. Like, where's the disconnect? Where are you getting the money from? Like, that's like why I sometimes want to shake my phone and be like, where's the money coming from? Because
or
then it
are
makes
they
you
just wasting all their money? Is that what they're doing? Or
there is a wider conversation around like a lot of influencers being in debt because they're
that's true.
emulating a lifestyle. So it could be either that, or you have somebody else bankrolling it. Again, like, this is maybe like taking it in a little bit of a dark turn depending on like where you look at it. But if we think about all of the, not all of the creators, but a lot of the creators who, like, they might be on private jets, on yachts, on just living these crazy luxury lifestyles, like bottle service. Uh, these women, a lot of them do work as escorts or sex workers. Like, that is a, and I'm not saying that everybody who has that lifestyle. Like, obviously, we have self-made women and like women who are wildly successful, but it is an underbelly of the creator economy that we don't talk about a lot. And to me, it's like, again, like, no judgment. If that's your line of work, it's your line of work, and you're fine with it. But then the problem becomes like when people who are trying to make it on the, as a entrepreneur or founder or a business person, are comparing their lives to this, like, oh, like a female founder should look like this, but in reality the source of the money is not the business that they're building. And I think going back to appearances, one of like the like, to me, like, it's sad but it's funny at the same time. There isn't a bigger marker of who's going to jail than Forbes 30 under 30.
Oh my God,
They're
yes.
all going to jail. We have
You
the Sam.
you found a lot of people, right? You have a list.
I have a list. And I actually took like 12 people off the list because I was like, oh, these are older and we don't have time to go through all of them in a podcast.
Let's
But
hear
there's,
it.
no, there's Sam Bankman-Fried, obviously the FTX fraud. He's in jail for 25 years. We have Charlie Javis, who was who defrauded through her startup Frank, JP Morgan chase because she was faking millions of customer accounts. And so she was sentenced to 7 years. We have Joanna Smith Griffin, who's from class of 2021, who was arrested late last year because she's alleged of securities fraud and identity theft for her company, All Here Education. And so there is a very, very fine line between a successful startup and, I guess, a federal crime.
Yeah. And it's so much, I guess, in online environment, it's so much easier to do it than ever
Mm-hmm.
before. So like
Mm-hmm.
it kind of creates the opportunity for
Mm-hmm.
you to do. So not to say that like it's the platform's fault, but it is fundamentally about how platforms reward content, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because like the visibility online, it creates opportunity. It creates like for the brand deals or the investors or the customers and partnerships. So if that visibility drives opportunity, I feel like there's naturally that incentive to show success. And then the success online often gets demonstrated through numbers, like we already talked about, like I just hit 1 million. And then everyone's like, wow, they made 1 million. Like, how did they do it? And then like everyone's super invested in that. But the algorithm doesn't really reward the stories that have more nuance, right? Like it rewards those stories that are very simple and dramatic and like, for example, a tweet that says like, this took me 5 years and a lot of trial and error is much less likely to get viral than I made 100K in 30 days.
Mm-hmm.
So and what happens is kind of like that the creators are compressing the stories and they're highlighting the best numbers and the fastest growth and the biggest milestones. And obviously, like, you know, all those examples, like, kind of are proof of that. But like social media kind of created the opportunity for them to do that. And like, I think they got like really lost in that, not to go into detail in any of those stories, but like it is very, like, if you don't have good morals,
Mm-hmm.
like it can be a very slippery slope, especially if
It
you're just
can.
like trying to hunt for that success, if you're trying to hunt for your first million or whatever.
Yeah, and I think there's also it's not just the social side of it, but if we look at who is investing in companies and how do you get people excited and back whatever venture you're on, you have to show nowadays you have to have a built-in following if you want to go to a PE or a VC to
It's so
fund your
true.
early stage consumer or product or service startup. So it really does perpetuate this cycle of wanting to appear as a fast growing company online because people love underdogs. People want to be part of those stories. Like, I want to back a
Mm,
female founded company that's doing
yeah.
X, Y, and Z. And so then that creates that buzz that they can turn into investor decks. And then investors in turn are like, oh, this now validates because social is such a big thing.
Right.
That now validates my investment into this. And then now they have the money there and now they have access to money. And I know that a lot of the a lot of the maybe the scams or like sketchy use of money also comes from them just like burning through the investor money on a
Mm,
lifestyle that they can show on social. So that's kind of that's kind of the cycle of like that we're seeing today. But then if I take a step back, this is not a new thing. So I've worked in startups for a long time. And again, like the things that I have seen, and I would probably have to consult a lawyer on the NDAs that I have signed, but there's with early stage startups and like how they're putting together their story and telling their story, and even like with tech, there is a thin line between selling a future promise and selling a scam. And I think like a
mm,
lot of companies, like for example, if like let me give a let me give an example I can talk about. So Theranos, right? If like Theranos was essentially built on an idea and like a scam in the sense like it did not end up working, but if like what early on they promised that wasn't working, if it did end up working, that would be a multi-billion-dollar company, right? And so there's always like an element of make believe in the beginning of a lot of startups that then turns into an actual promise. Like a lot of the SaaS and software companies, even, they are early stages. They're essentially just service companies where they have a little bit of code and then they have people on the back end that are like trying to solve the problems until they actually build the software to the point that it works autonomously. we even
right.
found we even found out about, where was it in it's somewhere in Asia where you have like thousands of people driving Waymos. So they're essentially they are essentially the ones that are in charge of the autonomous vehicles like going
Right.
around Los Angeles. Will you still take a Waymo?
Well, I actually did promise my sibling yesterday that I would be taking a Waymo with them because they want to experience it. They want to experience it, but you can
Hmm.
only get it in the
Hmm.
American App Store. So I will be
Yeah,
taking a Waymo this week.
but just for that.
Yeah, just for that. I have my own car now, so I don't need it. But it kind of reminds me of the Mars project of Elon Musk. Like, what year was it again that we were supposed to be able to live on Mars? Like, was it
I
like
don't know,
20?
last week?
Yeah, no, yeah. I feel like it was already like 2025 or was it 2030? But yeah, it's so true that a lot of like companies are like they have this big promise that you kind of
Hmm.
just have to believe in, like, oh, we're going to be like habitating Mars in 10 years, like,
Hmm.
and you just invest in that. And like, I honestly don't think it's going to happen. But it's so true that a lot, like, it is a really fine line whether it's actually a scam or something that's going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. And so like sometimes I think like maybe successful startups are just like scams that turn into an actual product. But there is again like but there is a difference between like exaggerating your features and what your platform or product can do versus like going in and like faking like millions of customer accounts or faking that you have a lot of paying customers already and then going to investors and saying, hey, we have like this customer pool, like can you give us 100 million? And so like that is just good old fashioned financial crime. So I'm not necessarily saying that like all startups do, but there is that. And then I think also, social media is like you kind of already touched upon this. It is enabling new forms of deception also in the sense of because these companies are enlisting people to creators to promote their products, and
Hmm.
creators want to give them great results so that they sell the product, so that the person comes back and says you worked really well for our brand, we want to hire you again. And now the creator can charge maybe even a premium because they sold so much. So for example, Michaela Nogueira, the Boston based makeup artist, who she's like had quite a few scandals in her time, but one of the big ones was that she admitted to putting fake lashes on her mascara partnerships.
Yeah.
And so that's like again like it all stems from the fact of like this pressure to perform, to get likes, to get that engagement. But I think there is this place of where creators might become parts of promoting things that maybe are not ethically so sound. This is just something again like I haven't fact checked this, so take it with a grain of salt. But there is apparently a lawsuit going on where creators were paid to, I guess, promote propaganda as it relates to Palestine and Israel, and then they did not get paid. And so now they're suing
Oh,
whoever this like
wow.
organ. I don't know if it might have been like a Israeli government allegedly who was behind this. Again, do your own research. But my point is, you said yes to promoting government propaganda, right?
That's
Like this
wild.
should not be a brand deal. You should not have a brand deal with the government,
Yeah, that should
right?
not even be possible. Yeah, and it's kind of
Yeah.
crazy because like historically scams looked very suspicious, right? Like it would be like there would be spam emails or it would be like very sketchy websites or
Yeah.
things that it would just immediately raise a red flag, but now it often looks like creator brands like you just mentioned, like it's coming from that person that you've been building your like parasocial friendship for years, so you're like, okay, this person is telling me something, you kind of trust that they have done their due diligence in like vetting the brand or whatever they're promoting. And it's crazy, especially when it gets political, that
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you trust them like you would trust a friend. We unfortunately like do that, even though we really don't know anything about the person's like ethics. So I think that's what's kind of scary about like these the creators, that you don't necessarily like, it's hard to recognize those scams because we were what we were talking about before, these like lavish lifestyles, like you might raise it, those might raise some questions, but then when it comes to those like partnerships with other brands, like you might not see those red flags as clearly. You're just like, oh, this person that I trust, that I listen to every day is telling me about this. It must be true. And you don't necessarily even second guess it.
Yeah, yeah, and I think there's even, if we look at a the the more of the scamming activity that's happening around that is the immediate layer. But looking back, like for example, I don't think it's maybe even that different that we're seeing now all of these celebrities like Oprah and Serena Williams and all of them on GLP-1s, right? Promoting and really like pushing those to their audiences and people thinking like, oh,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
Oprah, it's Serena, like this must be safe, it must be good, even though it comes with all of those disclaimers. But there's this huge conversation brewing now, for example, around that is that I think it's certain forms of cancers are skyrocketing among GLP-1 usage, like thyroid cancer. And
Wow.
I've seen the labeling that those now in the ads that I'm seeing. But nevertheless, it again like goes back to this idea of almost like social media has been this make get rich quick scheme, almost like they are promoting these insane stories, even with again like going back to the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. They actually have Amanda Francis, who is one of these like money manifestation life coaches, who she herself I believe escaped the cult, and now she is making millions in just running these coaching sessions for women on the mindset of money. So she's not actually teaching women how to invest their money. She's not teaching them how to build businesses, but they're like, again, like you mentioned, these like multi-layer, like I don't even know how to explain that, like MLM courses where she might charge like $15,000 for you to have lunch with her. Like
Wow.
I'm sorry, that's a scam.
Yeah, so she's teaching people how to manifest more money.
Yes,
Is
yeah,
that
how to
so?
have like more like positive energy around money while
Well,
charging them like
well,
thousands.
honestly, I feel like she's already explicitly saying that she's not going to be teaching you any tools other than mindset.
Oh,
At least it feels like to me, it feels like a more of an ethical scam, if you might say. So, I mean, because the thing is, mindset, like I do believe in mindset, like that is a major part of like
I do.
success. So, like I do think that something like that is, you know, I would accept it way more than someone who is pretending that you can get money in a certain way. Like manifestation works, but again, you have to take that with a grain of salt and understand that like, it's only a part of it. You still need to figure out how to actually make money. Like,
Yeah, yeah, I do. But I think also like there is a layer of like the ethics of like typically these types of courses and the language and the marketing that they push and the lifestyles that again like they show on
right,
social, they do prey upon people who are desperate. So
right.
again, like even if it's not illegal, is it like
That's
okay
fair.
to do like you have like a single mom of three kids who is in like major debt, and then now they're spending thousands of dollars on a money course because they're desperate, and they said like, hey, like don't worry, like if you're like this and you're down and out and you think you don't have an option, you do, and like I'm gonna change your
Right.
life,
Yeah,
right?
I haven't seen any of those ads, so
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh, manifesting. Like I should take a course on how to manifest more money in my life.
If you pay $15,000 to go to lunch with Amanda Francis, I'm gonna come and drag you out myself.
No, I'm ready to pay $50. That's my
That's
max.
okay. That's fine. That's fine. But I do think there is again like this attention economy. It pushes people to really exaggerate success, and I think and we're all maybe a little bit guilty of that in a way, because I do think like when I post about things, I'm going to conferences and I'm having fancy cocktails and like, clothing and all that stuff, but like the reality is most of the time I'm here in my apartment like heating up cup noodles. It's not all like caviar and steak dinners. And so like we're also participating in this almost like this performance of aesthetics and wealth and lifestyle. So like maybe there we need to look a little bit in the mirror with that type of stuff. But I think I do want to ask what should we ask or demand from brands and also from creators to fight the fake or fraudulent lifestyles or perpetuating things that are actually out of reach.
Yeah, well, I do think that the interesting tension here is that the brands themselves kind of help to create this culture of aspirational lifestyles online, right? Like for years, influencer marketing was literally built around projecting this ideal life, like the perfect travel, the perfect routines, and the perfect aesthetics. So now that we're entering this phase where audiences are kind of demanding more authenticity, but then the entire industry was built around aspiration, right? So I don't know, like, really, like, how, like, if it would become like some kind of pledge exactly, but I do think that brands should start thinking more about the credibility risk, because like if this creator story collapses, like, or if the success narrative turns out to be very exaggerated, like the brands that partner with them like kind of become part of that story,
Mm-hmm.
and they're going to
Yep.
be responsible for that because they haven't done appropriate creator vetting, right?
Yes.
So authenticity is no longer just like a creative choice, but it's becoming like a brand safety issue. So
That's
we
so
have we have
interesting.
we have talked about brand, like a creator vetting before, but I do think that like there is going to be need for even better tools in the future for do that, and I do think that brands need to be held accountable for the
Mm-hmm.
kind of people that they partner with, right?
True, true. And then if I look at it from the creator side of things, I think because they're also internet loves a good takedown, they love it because then
Yeah.
that becomes content as well. If we think about Chiara Ferragni, the blonde salad, the original fashion blogger who almost went to jail because she was defrauding people with panettone, the Italian
Ah,
Italian Christmas pastry. And so
yes, I remember
essentially, yeah, she
that.
had the whole, so she had a charity and she said she pledged to put 1 million of the sales to a charitable cause. But then behind the scenes, there was, I think she and a lot of people were profiting off of
Mm-hmm.
that. She did not end up going to jail. In the end, I think she had to pay back a lot of the money. And I also like agree that I don't think you should necessarily like go to jail just for a judge to make an example of you because you're a famous creator. I
Yeah.
don't think it was like that bad of a an infringement, but I think we are probably going to see a shift towards creators who aren't popular, aren't going viral, aren't getting engagement because of these extreme lifestyles, but back because of their personality and their
Mm-hmm.
storytelling. And so I think like we're going to move from the backdrop or the context being interesting to like persona driven creators, or at least that's what I want to hope to see in the industry. But I think that kind of wraps up our conversation today. Again, all opinions and stories here are alleged and in our opinion, just putting that legal disclaimer out there. And if you want to give your alleged opinions on House of Content, you know where to find us. Rate, review, slide in our DMs, and thank you so much for listening.